Hello and welcome to another 3-string slide lesson. So the previous video that we released was of course Paris, Texas by Raikuda. So fantastic piece of music and really good for beginner stroke inexperienced level players on 3 strings. But I thought it might be quite a good idea to have a look at some sort of basic techniques. So I'm going to do a couple of videos looking at specific elements which will hopefully tidy up your overall sound a little bit and maybe improve your tone slightly as well. So the next one we're going to be looking at vibrato and how you can incorporate that in a rhythmical way so that you get good sort of coordination in your playing. But in this particular one we're going to be looking at general sort of muting, how we can be using certain fingers to just sort of control the sound so we don't get any unwanted strings ringing out. For example, here is just a little riff. Okay, so compared to okay, so I mean, to be honest, the second one, it sounds good. It's much looser. It's got more sort of trashy sound to it, and there's definitely a sort of place for that. But also, it can be good in certain instances to really sort of get a handle on your playing, really sort of control the sound. I've put a bit of distortion on as well because it's very easy to sort of let unwanted open strings ring out when you've got a more sort of abrasive sound. Okay, now. There's also a 3-string tab file available to support this, go along with the exercise we're going to be looking at. So if you're interested, please follow the link and go through to the website where you can download it and help support the channel, and it will definitely help you learn this as well. Just a couple of bucks, it's quite a cheap one, this one. But let's just get straight on with having a go at the exercise. Okay, let's tune up then. So we're still in GDG. As middle D, as high G. So first of all, the 2 simplest ways that you can tidy the sound up are when you're playing with a slide. So I'm using it on my 3rd finger. You can use it on whatever you want. I wouldn't recommend your index finger, finger 1, but 2 or 4 is okay. 3 seems to be quite common, particularly for 3-string. So while you're holding it on the 3rd finger, say if I'm at fret 5, now if I want to control the sound, I might lightly rest like that. So instead of just having my fingers away, so I quite often just have my fingers like just very lightly, really light on the strings, so there's no pressure whatsoever, and it just sort of gets rid of any unwanted harmonics, and it just gives you a slightly more sort of focused sound. It's sort of difficult to hear in certain places. It's a bit more noticeable maybe up here. You might be able to hear that there's like, you can almost hear this side of the string a bit more clearly up at fret 12, and you just rest on the strings behind and it just gives you a tighter sound. So that's useful, so try and find a hand position. You want to make sure your thumb is always just sort of in the same position, so wherever you're playing, don't sort of like leave it hanging from where you started. Like get used to moving the whole hand up and down, so there's quite a lot of elbow movement. Okay, another one could be palm muting. Now you don't want to do this all the time. You don't always want a muted bass string, but it is pretty common, to be honest, for blues and whatnot. So this part of your palm, you could just be resting sort of somewhere, but basically it's dampening, so if you rest just past the saddle, you can get that sort of sound, you know. So both of those in total will actually give you a fairly reasonably controlled sound, but you can go further than that. So let's just have a quick look at this riff that we've got in the exercise to start with, and I'll show you how you can maybe just sort of tighten the sound up a bit. So if you go in at an angle on the middle string, so that's into fret 3, and then we've got open string 1, open G. You can go at a slightly different angle into, so like sort of changing slightly, into 3 on the top string, and then middle string again, and then so that's all just like fingers plucking, middle string 3, open, into 3 on the top string, middle string 3, open top string, thumb on the bass string. That's the first bar. We've got, when we play it up to speed, we've got a little shuffle to it. So we've got then covering a couple of strings with the slide, so right up on fret 5, so leaving this low bass ringing, and we're going to pluck them together, and then you're going to slide down to 3. So don't re-pick when you get to 3, so it's, and then thumb, and then 3 again. So this is like double plucking with index and middle, so plucking all together, thumb, index and middle, thumb, open, thumb. Let's try that from a different angle. So angling on the middle string, 3 into 3, open, 3, open, 3 on the middle again, and then finally thumb. And then cover 2 strings with the slide, pluck all 3 at once, thumb down to 3, then thumb afterwards, re-pluck with 2 fingers, thumb. So we got okay, so that sounds nice and open. So, you know, it doesn't sound bad at all. You might, you know, prefer that sort of looser sound in a lot of instances, but it's great to be versatile. So what I was doing earlier on to tidy it up was a lot of sort of resting with these fingers and thumb on the strings as I was playing. So there's not a lot going on there apart from that string that I'm plucking. And then when I go to string 1, as I go to string 1, I can rest with my thumb on the middle string. And then I'm on the middle string, and I'm stopping that ringing out while I pluck the top string. So it's, I can start with my index finger here, thumb drops down, index finger again, well, any finger, it doesn't matter. And when I go back to pluck the middle string again, I'm just going to rest with my middle finger and then pluck with my index finger on the second string. And then I'm going to drop with my thumb again and then use my thumb to pluck. So it's, I'm going to start like this, blocking all of the strings off, and it's, I'm using my index, drop down, thumb mutes, pluck the top string, just play normally on the top string, and then as I go to pluck the middle string, this middle finger is blocking off string 1, thumb drops down, allows me to pluck the open string without hearing, like the slide always makes a noise when you lift it off basically, which again could be a great effect, but you want to be versatile. So hear the difference. So block it, and again, you know, you might want to do the same, both versions in like the same song, just to give it some variation. Thumb, and as I pluck with my thumb, I might rest with my fingers to stop those ringing as well. That's, you know, that's like ultimate kind of muting, and you can sort of pick and choose as to which parts you think sound good. So start like this, and again, if you want any lessons on how to just generally play with slide, the sort of slide angle and things, I'll stick a couple of links in so you can look at early videos. So starting like this, and then drop down with the thumb, blocking off that middle string, pluck, and then middle finger, mute, and then index, and then thumbs dropping down again as I pluck the open high G, and then as I go with my thumb, I'll stop there. Let's just try that from this angle. So starting off, blocking the strings, thumb drops down, middle finger mutes, index goes to the middle string, thumb moves so I can pluck the high G, both fingers rest. Okay, so it's quite sort of choppy, it's quite stunted, and again, see what instances it's going to work in. Right, the second bar is covering a couple of strings, and we're going to pluck all three at once. Now let's go for the, like I said, the sort of ultimate muting approach. So as we go to pluck with the thumb, after sliding down, I'm actually going to block that. Now you may well want to keep it ringing in certain instances, but so resting as I come to pluck in, they're just resting. And then as I go to pluck the strings with my fingers, I'm gonna, sorry, that's another fret 3. I'm gonna stop that bass ringing, so it's like a sort of seesaw effect. It's like if you pluck with this one, they're resting. If you pluck with your fingers, your thumb's resting, and then so it's all together. Rest, thumb, rest, fingers, rest, thumb, fingers, rest, thumb. Try that. Mute with your fingers, mute with your thumb, mute with your thumb, mute with your fingers, mute with your thumb. And that is just the first line. So we've got, with all the muting, the second line, very similar. So we're going to do exactly the same as bar 1. That's bar 3, so that's like line 2 of the tab. But then we're just going right up to fret 12, still pair of strings, and so I'm still going to mute fret 10. So I'm going down 2 frets, so I'm plucking all together, and then as I want to play with my thumb, I'm just going to block that off. and then down to 3, but I'm going to cover all of the strings now. So playing with my fingers first, and then with my thumb on the 3rd fret bass note, and then open. So it's that kind of sort of staggered muting, one after the other. So pluck all 3 together. So all of that second line is all of it together. Now, that isn't particularly easy. It can be a bit of a minefield, sort of figuring out if you're still sort of simply trying to play and get a reasonable, sort of sequence of notes, and sort of follow things, play it correctly. It's a bit of an extra element that's going to throw a bit of a sort of spanner in the works. So learn how to play just the basic riff to start with, and then add all of this in afterwards. But the second half is the same sort of idea. It's just something else to give you a bit of variation. We're only going to play with our fingers in the first bar, just so again we can practice that muting. So I'm going from 5 down to 3, then it's open, back into 3. So that's all just on string 1. 5 to 3, open, back to 3, but then I'm going to play open, same trick, let's mute with the middle finger, slide in on the middle string, and then same trick, thumb drops down as I pluck the open. So right at the end it's open, mute string 1 with the middle, pluck with the index, mute with the thumb, pluck string 1. So you don't need to do so much muting here at the beginning, because it's all, I'm resting with my thumb just to sort of block these ones off, particularly if you're playing with distortion. They might start sort of ringing off if you're at loud volume, but basically you don't need to worry so much about muting here. But then the second half is let's mute with the middle, and then let's mute with the thumb. And then right at the end, sort of angling right over onto the bass string, and you're just playing 3. So that's just plucking the open strings. And again, the same deal where it's like, as you play the bass, as you play the finger melody strings, sort of mute with the thumb. As you play with the bass, mute with the fingers. So it's thumb, mute with the thumb, mute with the fingers, mute with the thumb, mute with the fingers, and then at the end let's go for index and then mute with the thumb. Index, so right at the end I'm resting on this string when I go with the index as well. Thumb on the bass, and then thumb down, play that last note. So all of that, this is the third line of the tab, is 5, 3, open, 3, open, mute, middle, mute, thumb, and then angle in just on the bass, play the open, mute, 5, 3, rest thumb on bass, rest thumb on middle. So we've got, and then mute with the middle, sorry. Mute with the middle now, on the middle string, mute with the thumb, angle in on the bass. Thumb muting bass, thumb muting middle. Middle mute in, thumb mute in. Start with all of them there. Thumb, mute, mute, thumb muting, thumb muting again. And then the final line is very, very similar. So this is the same. So this is now bar A7, sorry. So that's all the same muting and everything. But then right at the end we've got 7, 5, 3. Just go right up to 2 strings covered on fret 12. So same deal, so just angling in on the bass, and then open strings, and then 5, and then 3, and then pluck all 3 at once. So the bottom line is just let those ring out at the end. So the whole lot in total sounds a bit like this. 3, 4. Line 2. Now you can repeat that, but if we just go straight onto line 3, we've got 3, 4. Line 4. Okay, so that's it. I hope that was useful, and I hope you have fun learning that, and I hope it sort of helps to, you know, just improve your overall sort of control over the instrument. And like I said, the next one that we're going to be looking at, the next video, is going to be focusing on vibrato, which is, of course, like a really sort of lovely oscillating sound. And you can use both of these videos to then maybe revisit, you know, some other songs like Paris, Texas, for example, or we even did Little Red Rooster earlier on in the year, and you can maybe, you know, see if you can incorporate them into your general playing, and it should hopefully, you know, sort of bring everything to life a little bit. So see you here again soon on Coda Guitar.